this is Gin and Tonic. If you like what you see, please subscribe. I'll be putting out videos weekly. This week is a continuation of the bitters, which are finally done and quite delicious, as well as an incorporation into a cocktail. If you didn't see bitters part 1, all I did was I took all of the ingredients from my bitters, I put them in a mason jar and let them sit for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, I took them out of the mason jar, took the solids, boiled it with a little bit of water, put it back into the mason jar, let it sit for another week, strained it one more time, and finally put it into an eyedropper. And it is finally ready for us to use in a cocktail today. After I made this, I was thinking the best cocktail to try it out with would be my very favorite cocktail, which is a Manhattan. As it is with most cocktails, the origins of the Manhattan begin with a myth. A very popular myth, which has been spread around so widely that people almost believe it. But I'm here to tell you it's not true. The most popular story is that the Manhattan was invented at the Manhattan Club, and while this part might be true, the story that follows is absolutely not true. The myth is that the Manhattan was invented in 1874 for a banquet in honor of Governor Tilden that was being hosted by Jenny Jerome. However, Jenny Jerome was actually pregnant in England at the time with Winston Churchill, the future Prime Minister of England. There was a banquet hosted for Tilden later that year at the Manhattan Club, so there is some truth to this story. Another popular myth is that a bartender by the name of Black invented it as early as the 1860s and was serving at the Huffman House in New York City. Nonetheless, the Manhattan Club takes credit for the invention, but their original recipe was half and half vermouth and whiskey and orange bitters. At some point in the late 1800s and early 1900s, the recipe transitions to 2-1 whiskey to vermouth. As far as what whiskey to use for Manhattans, of course, my first answer is going to be use what you like. What was most popular when the drink originated was rye, and that's just because it was what was available. During Prohibition, Canadian whiskey was often used because that was what was easiest to get. And now, with all the varieties available, it really just depends on what your taste is. Fun and weird fact for you, when I was doing my research, I came across this little island in the North Sea on the German coast called Föhr. And apparently this drink can be found in almost every cafe and restaurant in the city. The way that they think this happened is it is a fisherman's town and they did a lot of deep sea expeditions. So the thought is that those deep sea expeditions led them to Manhattan, where they tasted the drink and then brought the traditions home. A Manhattan is about as simple as it gets, and I'm getting excited just thinking about making this. For my Manhattan today, I'm going to be combining all of the things that I've made the last couple weeks. My bitters are finally ready. I'm using Koki vermouth. I also have my Evan Williams whiskey that I infused last week for the Halloween special. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you check it out. We had a lot of fun filming it. Cherries are the most traditional garnish. I'm using Traverse City cherries, and I'll include the link for this if you'd like to get some to make your own Manhattans. It is quite tasty in this beverage. As with the old fashioned, and if you didn't see that video, you can find that in my videos on my channel, you don't want to shake a spirit forward cocktail. It's spirit forward, so your goal is not to water it down at all. Your goal is just to chill it down so you can enjoy it. So when you're building this cocktail, build it in your mixing glass and then add the ice after you have all of your ingredients in the glass. First up is my bitters. So you can either get a full eyedropper, or if it's being a little testy, 2 halves. One other thing I want to mention, if you do make these bitters and you saw that it was a little bit cloudy, you'll notice that mine's actually separated a little bit. That's completely okay. It's just because I use nuts for this particular bitters and there's fat in it, so it separates. Just shake it up before you use it. I'm gonna do 1 ounce of vermouth, 2 ounces of my infused whiskey. Now that I have all of my ingredients in the glass, I'm going to add ice and then stir it till it's cold. Manhattans can be served 1 of 2 ways. You can drink them up, which is my preference, or you can drink them on the rocks. I guess I prefer them up because if you drink them on the rocks, they're just gonna dilute as you consume it. Once you've got a nice chill, transfer it to your glass. After I have it in the glass, I like to add a little bit of fresh orange zest. I love the aromatics that it adds. get a nice slice, express the oils over your drink. And then I'm gonna dispose of this because this is not part of the finished product. Final step is to add my cherry. All right, first taste of all of the ingredients I've made the last 2 weeks. Thank you so much for watching. If there's anything that you would like to see me make, or if you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. I am Jenna, and this is Jen and Tonic.